Okay, welcome everyone. How you doing? This is a phenomenon from Merlin Sports, and joining me today to break down the AFC North is D-Dog. And how are you doing today, my friend?
Uh, I am doing well. Um, Again, like I said, it's really hyping to get back to football. Can't wait for it to start.
Oh, we have a doozy of a division, probably one of the best divisions in football, the AFC North. Lots of talented teams in this division. And wherever Aaron Rodgers goes, there's always seems to be a spotlight. So the Aaron Rodgers show is found a home in the AFC North, and there'll be no shortage of storylines. So what we'll do is what we usually do. We break down team by team, give our analysis and how we think the teams will fare coming into this season, and then at the end we'll say who's going to win the division and if we have any other playoff teams emerging from this division. So I'm going to rhyme them off based on the order of last year. And the AFC North last year was, of course, won by the Baltimore Ravens, finished 12-5. Pittsburgh Steelers finished 10-7, second place. Third place were the Cincinnati Bengals at 9-8. And bringing up the rear were the Cleveland Browns at 3-14. So as you can see, three of the four teams finished above 500, and there were two playoff teams from this division last year. So it stands to be another competitive year this year, another competitive division. So let's start with the Cleveland Browns, 3-14. Of course, they made the big splash at the draft. Well, not really a big splash because Shedeur Sanders slid all the way down. So, it was kind of a low risk pick. It may turn out to be a steal, or it may turn out to be, a big name that fades away. So, but anyways, there's a lot of interest uh, in Cleveland because of Shedeur Sanders, and they also drafted Dylan Gabriel as well ahead of Shedeur. So they got two young quarterbacks, two interesting prospects at quarterback going into the year, and of course Joe Flack. They re-signed veteran Joe Flacco from a couple of years ago, and I think he's going to be tagged as the starting quarterback for Cleveland. And as Deshaun Watson, I mean, I don't even think he's going to play this year as he had a setback from his Achilles injury from, well, I don't even know when it was last year sometime. So, Kenny Pickett is on the roster as of now, but I don't think they're not going to keep four quarterbacks. And I think it looks like that Kenny Pickett will be the odd man out because they may be able to scrounge a draft pick, late round draft pick by trading him, or they just may have to cut him, and he'll probably get picked up. Now, Shadur Sanders, he started that first preseason game for the Browns. He did all right, and I think he's nursing an oblique injury right now. So I'm expecting Joe Flacco to be the starting quarterback week one, but I think at some point in the year, Shadur Sanders will see the field, and we're gonna see how he does with regular season full speed in the NFL because it's very different than preseason. Now they lost a lot of players. They lost Nick Chubb, who was a longtime running back, very good running back, but he just got on the injury pile last year, and too bad because he was a very good Cleveland Brown. Um, and like I said, they drafted a lot of young talent at quarterback and try to see how it turns out. And I'm not expecting that much from Cleveland. I think they should be better than 3-14, but I don't think they'll be much better than 3-14. Um, and that's just when you look at the roster, it's just not there's just not a lot of talent to start the year. Um, mm, but I like their I like their tight end, Njoku. David Njoku is a very good tight end. I think, he's a very good player. And they got Miles Garrett. They reconciled with Miles Garrett, and so, he's good. Denzel Ward in the secondary, so scattered, they got some good players, but playing in a tough division means 2 games against Pittsburgh, 2 games against Baltimore, 2 games against Cincinnati. So you got 6 games against playoff caliber above 500 teams in your own division. And that's like the black and blue division, which means all those games are, man, you certainly feel it when you play in that division. So it's just going to be an uphill battle, and I don't see them doing much better than 3-14. What do you how are you feeling about the Browns this year?
I think the Browns are suffering from the curse of Deshaun Watson. They traded for him, and it's been a disaster ever since they signed him to a long extension, lots of money. He's just had problem after problem. He hasn't seen the field very much. He's got injured, so he's still battling back from injury. So yeah, you go to Joe Flacco, and they rescued Joe Flacco from the couch last year, and he had some moments. But actually, maybe in the last few years,
It
but
was it
yeah,
was 2 years ago, yeah. And he
yeah,
actually caught fire.
yeah.
Yeah,
So you know, I how much has he got left in the tank is really the question there. They don't really have a high powered offense. I mean, Judkins is not is a pretty good running back. He's from Ohio State. Another he teamed up with Travion Henderson in Ohio State last year to win a national championship. But um, eh, their first round pick Mason Graham is gonna help them as well because he's gonna be able to take. He actually is a pretty good pass rusher from the tackle spot. He'll help out Miles Garrett. So they might have a good defense, but I just don't see them having enough overall talent. They've got a lot of challenges across the roster. And so it'll be very interesting to see how they overcome it, especially the fact that they're playing arguably one of the top. It's probably that this and the AFC West are the top two best divisions in the AFC, right? Um, I think with the fact that Pittsburgh has Aaron Rodgers and there's a circus behind Aaron Rodgers wherever he goes, that might help a little bit. But I look at the schedule just now, and they play Cincinnati, Baltimore, Green Bay, Detroit, and Minnesota.
yeah.
Uh,
I don't know how they drew a schedule like that.
but,
You
but
know,
but those teams right there. I mean, you add Pittsburgh in, and you got one, two, three. Right there, three, four, 5 teams in the first 6 weeks
yeah,
that made the play.
it's like a murderer's row to start the season, and then
Right.
you sprinkle in, like we were saying, you're going to play Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati twice, but you also see San Fran,
Yeah.
who, the jury's still out on how they're going to be, but they, they will be a difficult opponent for Cleveland. I mean, so
Well,
uh,
I mean, they
and
don't
and,
have a.
and they play Buffalo as well in week
y-
16. So
Yeah, I mean, they don't have like they're usually when you finish low, you get a last place schedule, but this doesn't look like a last place schedule. I mean,
no, this doesn't look like
you,
the last. I want my money back if I'm Cleveland. I think that they'll be looking to the draft. Probably midway through this year, they're gonna be looking towards the draft to see, who's going to be available. This is a rebuild in progress, and
yeah.
and
So if I'm a fan of Cleveland, I'm looking at Shadur Sanders and see what he can do. I know they drafted Dylan Gabriel. He had some highlights. He had a pretty good, he had a pretty good college career. He bounced around a little bit in college, but he had a good year. He had a good year at Oklahoma. Went to Oregon. He had a good year at Oregon. He's undersized, so that might factor into how he plays at the NFL level. It's hard. I mean, Baker Mayfield's kind of found his way through it. Kyler Murray struggled still to try to find his way through it with his size. So it'll be interesting to see a Gabriel, but I think Gabriel and Shadur Sanders, because I don't think Flacco will play all 17 games.
No.
Um, will like you're gonna get an opportunity,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like you can, yeah, I know they signed Kenny Pickett, but he he's even worse than the other two, right?
I don't even think he's going to make it to week one. I seriously think he's another team's going to scoop him up.
Yeah, he,
You know what? We spend an awful lot of time on a 3-14 team. Yeah, and
yeah,
yeah, because there's some interesting storylines. But let's move on to the Cincinnati Bengals, who finished 9-8 last year, and have one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league in Joe Burrow. So. Like, how do you think they're going to fare? And unfortunately, the last couple of years they've stunk in September. So
he,
I know they're trying to do everything they can to be ready for this year. And I think I seen Joe Burrow play in the preseason, which is not many other teams are having their starting quarterback play in the preseason. So
yeah, but I don't really think it's since Cincinnati's struggle. I mean, their coach, I don't know, he just doesn't have this team prepared for the first 5 weeks of the season. His record in the first 5 weeks is awful. I
yeah,
think he's got
well,
got like one win, right? He's got like one
I'm
win
sure
in,
we can agree that means struggling.
right? Yeah, yeah. Oh no, but that's the problem. So here's the thing for Cincinnati. They got a hell of a quarterback in Joe Burrow. They got a great wide receiver in Jamar Chase, right? So they have talent to compete at the highest level. I don't think they're as good as Baltimore, but I think they're better than Pittsburgh this year. Um, it's a matter of how they do in the first month of the season, the first 5 weeks. If they can turn that problem around, then they're going to be a very, very good football team. They're going to challenge Baltimore for a playoff spot because they got a top notch quarterback. Joe Burrow is a fantastic quarterback. So they have the quarterback, which if you asked all 32 NFL teams, what are they asking for? They're asking for a quarterback, right? I mean, that's what they want. They're not looking around saying, we need a great running back. They want a quarterback. So you got the quarterback. You got a good receiving room. The defense is pretty solid. I know there's been some struggles trying to get some guys signed or letting guys go, but they still have a solid defense. Um, and so that's where I see this team is going to compete for a playoff spot, definitely. And they might challenge the division. I'm not going to pick them to win the division, but they can challenge for the division because I think they're better than Pittsburgh. And they've been battling Pittsburgh the last couple seasons. They came close to make the playoffs after a bad start last year.
Well,
So
I think they finished the year on a 5-game winning streak, so
yeah,
that they made a run.
yeah.
But
So
but I mean, I agree on the like this is on the offensive side of the ball. This is one of the most talented offensives with Jamar Chase and T Higgins, Chase Brown, running back, and of course Joe Burrow, who almost threw for 5,000 yards last year. I mean, he almost had to because we're having to win games, 35-31 because their defense was horrendous, and it looks like they have not upgraded their defense that much. Make things worse, Trey Hendrickson is still a holdout. Uh, the latest indications are they're still far away on reaching a deal, so that does not bode well when your top defender led the league in sacks is a holdout. I mean, we've seen these things play out, and usually the player signs right before the start of the season. But I mean, without camp, you're at a disadvantage when you go in without training camp, as even as good a player as you are. So that's concerning. Every game is going to have to be a track meet for Cincinnati, and they're going to have to outscore their opponents, which they're totally capable of. But um, you just would have liked to see them add some talent on defense because I know they drafted a couple of defenders in the early rounds, but uh, there's still it's still a big concern. Now, a benefit for them is that I'm looking at their schedule. They will play, of course, they play Cleveland twice. I see Jacksonville on their schedule, New York Jets, Chicago, New England, Arizona. So, they have some winnable games. And there'll be tough games with Pittsburgh and Baltimore, who they'll see twice. They also play Buffalo, Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota, Denver. So, their schedule, although there's some easy teams, there's some difficult games too. So, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to tell because um they're so talented on offense that they can overcome, but I don't know. I don't think they're gonna be at the top of the division. I think it'll be the same type of year where they're gonna threaten for a playoff spot, but I just you just need a bit of you need to be able to stop the other team on occasion to be amongst the elite in the NFL. So um let's do Pittsburgh next. The Steelers, 10-7 last year, and of course, Uh, the big the big news, Aaron Rodgers, coming to the Steelers, always brings a lot of fanfare and a lot of attention, and what are you thinking about? Oh, they also added DK Metcalf, so that they're bringing in a big weapon. Robert Woods, even a very serviceable receiver, although getting older in his career. Najee Harris left. George Pickens left. Mike Williams left. Mika Fitzpatrick. So they took lots of they've lost some players on defense, but they did add Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay to kind of be a trade-off from the departures on their secondary. So it definitely interesting, yeah, and of course Mike Tomlin, who never seems to have a losing season and always a threat to make the playoffs, and of course TJ Watt on defense. So, um, I mean, I don't know at this point, Aaron Rodgers, how much of an upgrade that's going to be over the quarterback situation last year in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh they just couldn't get over the top with either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. But we saw Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he had a half decent year in the Jets, but I mean, is Pittsburgh looking for half decent, or are they looking for uh excellent play from the quarterback position? I'm just not sure that they're gonna get it from Aaron Rodgers at
Well,
this point in his career. I
well,
think.
I mean, Pittsburgh has always prided themselves in the run game, right? So, that's impactful there if they get a decent running game. I don't think losing Najee Harris doesn't help them, right? So, that's the thing with Pittsburgh. For me, it's always because they got Mike Tomlin. They have a chance to make the playoffs. He's one of the best. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL. And he knows how to get the best out of his guys. But with Aaron Rodgers comes a circus, and uh, Aaron Rodgers' strength as a quarterback was to scramble out of the pocket and throw on the run. At
And his
40,
accuracy too. Like he's been
yeah,
in his day when he's on top of his game, he's very accurate.
yeah, but it goes without saying, right? He could scramble, get out of the pocket, and throw the ball on the run accurately, right? I mean, I say throw on the, there's guys who can scramble, but when they throw the football, you don't know where that ball's going, and that's not effective scramble on the run. Aaron Rodgers in his heyday was probably the best quarterback at doing that in the NFL. There's probably very few quarterbacks that can do it. I mean, Patrick Mahomes does it very really well right now too. But and Lamar is more of a threat to run than he is to pass when he gets to the pocket. But he's 41 years old. He's had an Achilles injury, and I heard some of the rumblings that Aaron Rodgers late in the season looked better, so he's going to be better this year because it's his second year back. DJ Metcalf is one of those guys that you can throw the ball and he'll go get it. Um, but losing Pickens hurts them. Metcalf's probably better, but Metcalf's had some injuries too, so that might be playing off that way. But uh, I see Pittsburgh and Cincinnati battling out for second and third. Right, those are the two. Those are the two guys. I think Baltimore is elite, and I think they're Baltimore's head and shoulders above the two of them.
So having said all that, where do you see the Steelers? How do you think they're going to be an improvement over their record for last year?
No, I think they'll be about the same. I think maybe they drop a game like 9-8. Um, I mean, Mike Tomlin won't make the circus Aaron Rodgers as bad as it was in New York. I mean, New York is a very live media market, but Mike Tomlin is in control of that dressing room, whereas Sauber was not in control of the dressing room last year, right? And the owner was lost, and so that whole team was like a disaster. Whereas Mike Tomlin will it's his dressing room, and if Aaron Rodgers gets out of line, he'll find the unemployment line,
Hmm.
right? So that's the difference. And it goes back to whether Rodgers can get is still the same guy who can get out there, and I don't think he can get out there anymore. So um, I think they'll
Hmm.
be they'll compete for the playoff spot because Tomlin's teams always do. But they're not going to challenge like Baltimore for the division title.
Right. And I think one story to keep an eye on too is Cameron Hayward on defense is looking for a new contract as well. So keep an eye on that. He may he may not start the beginning of the year, although just like in the case of Hendrickson on Cincinnati, usually those things work themselves out before the start of the year, but just one storyline to keep an eye on. Yeah, I do think Pittsburgh will probably be in the same ballpark, with just because, bringing in DK Metcalf really strengthens their receiver core. Um, and they're a competitive team, and for the same points you said, as Tomlin will have them ready, and they will play hard. So let's move on to Baltimore, who finished last year at 12-5, and of course, possess some of the uh, two of the best position players in the game, and quarterback Lamar Jackson and running back Derrick Henry. So, what are you expecting out of Baltimore this year?
Um, the AFC is a three-horse race for the title in terms of who's going to win it. Baltimore, Buffalo, Kansas City. Kansas City might drop a little bit. They were 15-2 last year, but let's focus on Baltimore because that's the thing. They were 12-5 last year, if I'm not mistaken. And
That is correct.
um, I think they're gonna be better. They're gonna be better this year, right? Cleveland's worse. Cincinnati's is gonna have a better record. They came on at the end of the season, but I think Baltimore has some things to prove. They were probably pissed off. They could have won that Buffalo game against Buffalo. They turned the ball over too many times. Um, so I think they're gonna be a little bit pissed off about that, and they're gonna have some things to prove overall. So, uh, but I think they're the best team in this division, hands down. They probably go 14-3. Battling it out for home field advantage at the playoffs. I think that's what they want, and they've had it before, and they weren't able to close it with Kansas City. But this is a team. This is a team that everything like Buffalo is going to be about who they are will be defined in the playoffs, right? Lamar's cemented his legacy in the regular season. He's one of the top performers in the regular season. He had a great year last year. He could have won the MVP again last year with the year he had. But Josh Allen also had a great year, so Josh Allen got the nod because Lamar had already won it. So it's going to be they're gonna win the division again. And I don't think they'll be challenged. And then it's a matter of what they do in the playoffs. But I think this is a team, and they got. It's a cliche that we've used in this podcast is they got one of the top coaches in the NFL. Like John Harbaugh is a fantastic coach. The Harbaugh family, they grow coaches on trees, right? That's just how it is. John's a great coach. Jack was a very good coach. Jim's a great coach. So, um, so they have the coaching to match up the pedigree to match up with Pittsburgh in terms of coaching because Tomlin and Harbaugh are the two best coaches in this division. That's Cincinnati's problem. If they had a good coach, they would be they might challenge Baltimore, but they don't. So yeah, this division is Baltimore. I'm going to say since he jumps Pittsburgh, and then Cleveland, and I say three teams from this division make the playoffs.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me?
Okay, so in terms of playoff predictions,
I got Baltimore winning the division, Cincinnati finishing second, and Pittsburgh finishing third. But I say three teams from this division make the playoffs: Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh.
mm-hmm. Okay, well, I think we're in agreement with Baltimore. I think Baltimore is just too much talent to be denied, and they're bringing in DeAndre Hopkins this year. I know he's not a young wide receiver this year, but they always seem to um not have a game breaker wide receiver. So we'll see how Zay Flowers, and they basically going in with Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, and DeAndre Hopkins. And then of course they're set at running back Derrick Henry and
Beast.
Justice Hill right behind him too to offer some support. And I think their tight ends are pretty good too. Like Mark Andrews, I know he had a down year, but it means more time for Isaiah Likely. So I think they got a good 1-2 for tight end who, and that's good for a quarterback to have big reliable tight end targets to throw at. So I'm with you, like in Baltimore, winning the division and being the cream of the crop. So my my prediction is Baltimore wins the division, and of course makes the playoffs. And yeah, I think I like Pittsburgh to finish second just because I don't think Cincinnati's done enough on the defensive side of the ball to vault into second place in the division in my eyes. But I think they will threaten for the playoffs. And I think we see Pittsburgh grabbing a wild card, and I will say that Cincinnati will grab a wild card this year as well. So yeah, I'm like you. Three teams from the AFC North will make the playoffs this year, and of course will be one of the better divisions in football. Okay, well that does it for our AFC North breakdown, and I'd like to thank D-Dog. Thanks for breaking that down with me.
Thank you very
And
much. No
oh
problem.
yes, and we will be back with another division review.